Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the primary weapon, the Lanka. But before we start, let's go over our commenter board. The first commenter of the last video was Miso Soup 3966, and the top commenter of the last video was Nomad VO. And then we have our recent channel supporters here of Elite Reverser, Whoop-de-Wham, and Nice Bear. Thank you so much for your support. Unique and interesting things about the Lanka is that it's a sniper rifle that has a charge-up mechanic. It has a quick-ish shot where you still need to charge it up at least 33% of the way for it to fire, and then it has a fully charged shot. The fully charged shot is going to do a lot more damage, and we're going to be using that in our build. It also has innate electric on it, and it has 3 different zoom modes. It has a 3x zoom mode where you get 20% final critical chance, a 5x zoom mode where you get a 30% final critical chance buff, and an 8x zoom mode where you get a 50% final critical chance buff. And all those critical chance buffs, like I said, are final critical chance, meaning that that number goes at the very end of the equation, so it acts differently than modded critical chance. So the best build for the Lanka is very similar to 2 other weapons we've done in the past, the Daikyu Prime Bow and the Snipertron. All 3 of these weapons have kind of a slow fire rate, but they're very good at single target. And so all 3 of them utilize blast to improve their kill per minute numbers. Now, the Daikyu Prime Bow is built similar to this, but there are a little bit more differences than this one and the Snipertron just because it's a bow. The Snipertron is built almost exactly like this, except the Snipertron has a better fire rate and it's not a charging mechanic. So the Snipertron doesn't need to use a fire rate mod. And so the Snipertron can use a mod like Target Acquired for plus 60% headshot multiplier. Whereas the Lanka, because it's a charging weapon and it doesn't have a great base fire rate, it's stuck having to use a fire rate mod. Now, if you had an external way to give yourself fire rate, maybe you're playing a Warframe like Wisp or Harrow, or you have some other kind of external means to increase your fire rate, or you have a really good Riven that maybe compresses a few different mods into one, then instead of Vile Acceleration, you could put Target Acquired here, and that would be a much stronger build for the Lanka. That just requires some external help. Now let's go over the mods. We're going to start with Primary Acuity for weak point damage and weak point critical chance. This is going to allow our blast procs to pretty much nuke everything around the target that we're shooting at. Our blast procs are going to occur at a 40.9% chance. So it's going to take about 2 shots until you see a blast proc happen, and then it's going to nuke all the enemies around it. There is a kind of a weaker side grade to this, but it's still a side grade to Primary Acuity. If you really, really hate Acuity, because I know there are some people that just hate Acuity builds, then you could go with Galvanized Chamber. There are some pros and cons for going with Galvanized Chamber over Acuity. We'll go over the cons first. So the cons for Galvanized Chamber is that you don't get these gigantic, massive blast procs that happen. So it won't scale as well. Maybe in starting Steel Path, like really early in starting Steel Path, those blast procs will still nuke enemies, but pretty quickly, those blast procs are no longer going to be nuking enemies around your primary target. You're going to have to get multiple blast procs to eventually nuke those enemies down multiple times. The positive thing to Galvanized Chamber, though, is that because you get multi-shot, I believe Galvanized Chamber gives you about 3 bullets per bullet. That means, again, if we look at our status chance here, 40.9, well, if we have 3 bullets, that means that on average, we're going to get a blast proc every shot. So it's not going to be as strong, and we're probably going to have to get many blast procs to kind of nuke down those enemies, but it's going to be more consistent. So it's a side grade that you can consider. I think Primary Acuity is better and scales better, but if you hate Acuity, and especially if you don't do endurance content, you always do like early Steel Path content, then Galvanized Chamber is decent there. Now we have Galvanized Scope for critical chance, Vile Acceleration for fire rate, Hammer Shot for critical damage and status chance, Critical Delay for critical chance, Vital Sense for critical damage. And in the next 2 slots here, we're going to be making Blast, and there are 2 different setups you can do here. I was really debating which one I wanted to showcase. Again, these 2 setups both have pros and cons, and it's going to be up to you to decide which one you want. So Thermite rounds and Rhyme rounds are both of the 60/60s. This is the 60/60 heat and the 60-60 cold to make blast. The other thing you can consider is using the 60-60 heat and then the primed cryo rounds, which is the big 165 cold to make blast. If we look at the status chance, the blast percent stays about the same. With the primed cryo rounds, I think it's like 1% more, or maybe even less than 1% more, but it stays about the same percent chance to produce blast. But with rhyme rounds, which is the 60-60, you have much more of a chance to produce electric as well. And so same percent chance to produce blast, and in the cases where you don't produce blast, you're at least producing electric. With the primed version, you're producing blast at the same percent chance, or about the same percent chance, but you have a much lower chance to produce electric. Now, there are pros to using the primed cryo rounds though, because a bigger elemental number also increases the end damage calculation. So you could get more damage by using primed cryo rounds, but using rhyme rounds is going to give you more percent chance to produce electric in the times where you're not going to produce blast anyway. So that is up to you. Do you want to see electric procs when you wouldn't be producing blast anyway? Or do you just want to see more damage on average, and that would be primed cryo rounds? In the Exilus slot, there is nothing good at all. Agile aim is weirdly, sadly, probably the best, and honestly, you could just leave this empty and save capacity if you really wanted to. So agile aim is just plus 20% movement speed when aiming. It's okay, it's not great. If you want to be cheap and maybe save a forma, you could just leave this empty. The other thing you could consider is Vigilante Supplies, which is a 5% chance to enhance critical hits from your primary weapons. That sounds good, but the fire rate on the Lanka is absolutely garbage. So this is 1 out of 20 shots is going to enhance your crit. And to get 20 shots in the Lanka might take a full minute. So you don't get a lot of value out of Vigilante Supplies either. So Vigilante Supplies or Agile Aim, both are really, really minimal value. So you could leave this slot empty if you really wanted to. Primary Deadhead in the Arcane slot. This is for 360% flat damage, plus 30% headshot multiplier, and minus 50% weapon recoil. One more thing I wanted to mention that's actually a suggestion from my friend Elite Reverser is the Arcane Primary Crux. Now, right off the bat, without a Riven, I don't believe Primary Crux is competitive with this build, and it's because the Lanka is already hard up for mod slots. It's already having to use a mod slot for fire rate where the Snipertron doesn't have to use it. So it's already not able to use the plus 60% headshot multiplier mod like the Snipertron or the Daikyu can. So it's hard up for mod space. But if you were able to get a Riven with fire rate and flat damage, like a good amount of flat damage, like let's say like 200% or over. I don't know with a 3 Riven disposition if you could do that or not, but let's say you can get fire rate and a decent amount of flat damage, then I think you can easily get rid of Vile Acceleration, put your Riven here, you put Primary Crux on, and if you don't know about Primary Crux is pretty much a 300% status chance Arcane. And that would be really good on the Lanka because now you do have consistent blast procs on it that are going to happen every shot, even with primary acuity. So Primary Crux, I believe, can be the strongest Arcane on the Lanka, but it requires a Riven to compress mod slots. You would need to compress the fire rate slot by having fire rate on your Riven, and you would also in that Riven need to compress flat damage by having it in that Riven as well. And that way you have two things that you really need on the build in one slot, and that saves you that Arcane that you can use Primary Crux there for. So just consider that. Primary Crux could be the best Arcane, it just requires external help from a really good Riven. This is how you build out the primary weapon, the Lanka. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future content. So now we'll have a 5-minute gameplay portion showcasing the weapon, and when that's done, we'll come back to the orbiter and we'll give it its final score and rank. So I'll see you guys again after the gameplay. Alrighty, we're about to start this 5-minute gameplay portion up here. We're going to showcase the Lanka, everyone's favorite weapon, highly anticipated. Let's get into this. you can decide what you want to zoom in at. If you want to do the 20 final critical, 30, or the 50 final critical. I'm going to do the 20 final critical. I feel like I'm going to end up getting more damage out of it just because I can see better than if I was aimed in all the way. But if you want to try to practice in aimed in all the way, that might be a good thing, because 50 final critical is obviously better than 20 final critical. If you don't mind aiming in all the way to 8 times and you get that 50 final critical, you might even consider removing critical delay and putting target acquired there instead, because you'd kind of be making up your critical chance by just being aimed in 8 times and getting more final critical there. Because critical delay equals 50% critical chance at the end, like when it's fully calculated. Acuity equals 87.5 critical chance when it's fully calculated. Scope is like 80 something, or 80 maybe, critical chance when it's fully calculated. So like critical delay is only 50, and if you were to make up like 30 of that by aiming in 8 times instead of 2 times, like I am here, then switching to target acquired over critical delay could be an option. Obviously, Acuity gives you more than just 87.5 critical chance. You know, it gives you weak point damage as well, not just critical chance. So it's stronger than just the critical chance numbers. So what we're banking on this weapon, just like we're banking on the Daikyu, just like we're banking on the Snipertron, is we're hoping for those blast procs. On this weapon, it's with this current setup, it's going to occur about once every other shot, maybe a little bit less than once every other shot, because it's like a 41-ish% chance. So not really a 50. Oh my goodness, I'm like inside that guy. I only do that on the weekends usually. So okay, let's continue here. Try to get some good headshots and not embarrass myself. I would like to buy Blast Brock, please. Would like to buy Blast Brock. The past 5 shots were not Blast Brocks. Maybe now? Nope. Stop stealing my weapon. You're going down next. Where's he at? There he is. There we go. Oh my goodness, finally. I have like the worst luck for these Blast Procs. There we go again. See how it just nukes everything around it? It's nice when it happens, but if you have a string of bad luck like I was having there, this could kind of feel bad. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm only taking one enemy at a time. These kind of weapons, this one, the Snipertron, the Daikyu Prime, they're also going to be kind of at the mercy of the enemy type as well. You got an infested map or like a Technosite heavy map, you may have a bad time because their heads are all in weird places. So, you know, you're kind of at the mercy on these weapons with the faction type. Orkin, Corpus, Scaldra, Grenier, Murmur to a certain extent, like they're not too bad. These guys though, or not these guys, the Infested or the, got Malice here. All the mag bubbles between us. I'm like, why did I hit him right there? He's got the mag bubble. I took him out, but I think I shot myself there too. I think he put a mag bubble on me. I'm gonna go ahead and hit life support. We're actually almost at 5 minutes. Maybe I don't need to. Will it tell me I failed if I run out after 5, but before I kill the Thraxes? I don't know. I can't remember how that works. make sure we're stacked up first. Okay, let's get these Thraxes. Where are they? They're all in ghost form. Come on, buddy. Look at me. Stop looking at the sentience. All right, that's both Thraxes done. We're at 5 minutes, 280 kills. Let's go ahead and head back to Orbiter. Welcome back to the Orbiter, guys. So let's go over how the Lanka did in its 3 10-minute runs on Steel Path Lewis Circulus. It got 534, 463, and 585 kills. And if we do the average of those 3 numbers, that's 517.3, repeating of course, putting it in the B tier for kill per minute potential. Very low B tier, just barely getting into the B tier. And I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here. That is like the sweatiest B tier possible. Every other, B tier weapon, you can just hip fire, or maybe they're aim down sight weapons, but they're just very easy to use. Like the Kuva Carrick, for instance, is a B tier weapon. That's an aim down sight weapon, but you don't really have to sweat that much using it. Where the Lanka, it's like, you are dripping sweat, trying to make sure every shot is a headshot. And at the very end, you're rewarded for B tier amounts of kill per minute. So that's my little rant there, is very high skill ceiling and you're not rewarded for it. Now, when it comes to single target, if you saw, it was like a 3-shot Acolyte killer. It was like a 3 or 4-shot Thrax killer. It's pretty good for single target. I would say it's A tier for single target, but it has the same issue that it had for kill per minute. It is like the sweatiest single target for A tier. A lot of A tier single target weapons are just like AoE weapons that you barely have to aim, or they're multi-shot weapons where you don't have to worry about always hitting the head for any kind of meaningful damage. This one, every single shot needs to be a headshot for it to have meaningful damage. And so, yes, it's A tier for single target, but God forbid the enemy is facing the other way. Now you're doing 0 damage. So, that's again, a little rant there. I'm sorry. Ease of use is the next thing we're gonna rate this on, and ease of use is doo-doo tier. This is going to be D tier for ease of use. Similar to the Daikyu Prime. The Daikyu Prime is a weapon I consider the hardest weapon in the game to use because it's an acuity build. The Daikyu Prime is an acuity build, and it's a charging weapon. It's a bow, so you have to pull it back. This weapon's the same. It's a acuity build, and it's a charging weapon, so it's the same. It's like as hard as the Daikyu Prime to use. So like this weapon and the Daikyu Prime are the hardest weapons in the game to use. Absolute D tier for ease of use. Do not give this weapon to like someone that's just starting to play Warframe. They're probably going to quit the game afterwards. So that's my take on the Lanka. I'm sorry I got worked up there. It's just my little rant on it there. So that's my take. Tell me what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.